Good afternoon. My name is Lluberes from the Department of Political Science. I'd like to talk to you about political corruption in Latin America, specifically executive corruption, which is committed by presidents, ministers, and other high-level officials. We define corruption as the abuse of public office for private gain. What is significant about the study of corruption is that corruption affects every country in the world, and it affects millions of people. In 2014, for example, Latin America lost $100 billion to corruption. The amount of money spent on corruption was more than 8 times the regional annual growth. Fun fact, $100 billion could fund all of the PhD and master's degrees for any US citizen that wants one. So that's free graduate education right there. Besides that, it could also help in lowering education, or low education and high inequality, which are both known to increase corruption in the long run. And what we know, or at least what we think we know, is that political corruption should decrease when we see democracy going up and economic openness going up. In 1977, for example, there were 19 dictatorships in the region. Today, only Cuba remains the case. And we see since 1995 that the quality of democracy has continued to improve across the region. Economic openness, shown there, has continually been on the rise, yet corruption remains unmovable. Chile, a country with 35 years of democracy, has lower political corruption than any other country in the region, even lower than Costa Rica, for example, a country with 150 years of democracy. Brazil, a country with a relatively closed economy, has less political corruption than Dominican Republic, a country with a more open economy. So why have political corruption levels remained stagnant in spite of the significant gains that we've had in both political and economic liberalization? Well, my hypothesis was that there's greater power concentration in the executive branch with the president, and that leads to a weakening of the mechanisms of checks and balances around them, leading to more corruption. And what I found was this, that as judicial constraints on the executive go up, executive corruption decreases. In other words, that the ability of the high courts to limit presidential power leads significantly to less corruption. In fact, for every 1 unit increase in judicial constraints, I found a 1.3 unit decrease in corruption. Pretty much a one-to-one relationship there. So more than education, inequality, democracy, or the openness of the economy, judicial constraints were the single greatest factor affecting political corruption in Latin America for this period of time. So what does this mean? This shows that we have the power to change things now. That while democracy and education remain important investments, policy can be formulated right now that aids in the ability of the courts to limit presidential power, lowering corruption, and at the same time to increase the quality of democracy and the quality of life of millions of people in Latin America. Thank you.